Hi there. It's turning into an interesting month as far as the weather's concerned. The second named storm this August, Storm Betty, named by Met Éireann, the Irish Met Service, because, of course, through the evening on Friday, the strongest of the winds are expected across southern Ireland as the low pressure deepens rapidly on its approach to the UK. You can see this massive cloud waiting to roll in on the satellite image earlier, and the jet stream picking up Storm Betty and deepening it fairly quickly during the coming hours. But that's not to say Betty won't have impacts on the UK, because there will be some impacts from wind, from rain and indeed from thunderstorms. We've already, ahead of Storm Betty, seen some heavy rainfall across parts of central and southern England earlier in the day. This is the rainfall radar and satellite image from 10 a.m. But by the time we get to early afternoon, much of that rainfall's disappearing because it's quite quickly de-intensifies, and it looks like for many places it's a cloudy and in places showery picture, but the heaviest of the rainfall easing for a time. There will be some brightness coming through for southeast England, for example, western Scotland, northwest England. It's a breezy picture across the UK, but that breeze is coming from a warm direction and the humidity is rising, so it's not going to be cold. Temperatures reaching the low 20s in places, and where we do get some sunshine coming through, the possibility of 23 or 24 Celsius. However, towards the southwest, already by the end of the afternoon, we've got some heavy and persistent wet weather moving in, and that's going to quite quickly push into Northern Ireland, Wales, central and southern England through the evening. Also, we've got the wind strengthening as Storm Betty approaches. You can see the wind swirling around the low pressure centre there to the south of Ireland. And it's across southern Ireland, as I mentioned, where the strongest winds will be. But for the UK, Northern Ireland, for western coasts of England and Wales, also there's the risk of gales. I think in some places 45 to 55 miles an hour. That could cause some issues for camping, for temporary structures, of course, given the time of year. But for the far southwest of England, for the far southwest of Wales, there's a risk of 60, 70 mile per hour wind gusts through the evening and the first part of Saturday morning. Now, we've also got the heavy rain moving through, bouts of wet weather pushing across England and Wales, southern Scotland and Northern Ireland overnight. And that rainfall really totting up across Northern Ireland, 40 to 80 millimetres over the Antrim Hills, the Sperrins, the Mourne Mountains, for example. And for East Anglia in the southeast, here there's the threat of developing thunderstorms because of the high humidity, because of the low pressure approaching. Now, these thunderstorms are not a done deal. They depend on a number of factors coming together, so there's the possibility they won't form at all. But if they do occur, then they're likely to bring impacts to parts of eastern England, frequent lightning, hail and some intense rainfall rates. Once we get to dawn on Saturday, we've got drier conditions pushing in towards the southwest, the wet and windy weather transferring to Scotland, continuing across Northern Ireland and parts of Wales. And all in all, it is a warm night. It's not only going to be a noisy night for sleeping, but it's going to be uncomfortably humid as well, 18, 19 Celsius in places. So a real mixed bag as we start off the weekend. We've got the wet and windy weather transferring through Scotland, continuing across Northern Ireland for a time. Across parts of Scotland, there's the risk of impacts from the persistent rain during Saturday morning, because, of course, we've had a lot of wet weather here recently as well. But across England and Wales, by the afternoon, brighter weather arrives. We've still got a blustery breeze, but it's not as strong as overnight. And where the sun does come through across East Anglia and the southeast, it will be quite warm, 24, 25, perhaps even 26 Celsius. Elsewhere, that breeze bringing in quite a number of showers and the more persistent rain there continuing across parts of central Scotland and the north of Northern Ireland. So the most unsettled weather by the end of Saturday is across the northwest of Scotland. The clearest skies, the lightest winds will be towards the southeast of England. And that's a theme really that we take into Sunday and the start of next week. Betty moving away to the north, but a signal for low pressure to stick close to the north of Scotland into the start of next week, whilst higher pressure develops across the south of England. And with heat building across the near continent, we'll just get a sample of that for a time as well. So temperatures rising in the south and southeast of the UK, plenty of sunny spells on Monday, Tuesday and into Wednesday. Further north, well, the further north you are through next week, the more mixed it will be, the more changeable. Rain or showers at times, along with a brisk breeze. And it's going to stay that way until around the middle of the next week. And then through the latter part of next week, cooler weather returns.